Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. In the background, you can hear the game going on. It's the NFC divisional round. The Packers are at the Cowboys. It's just after halftime. I don't think I can show much of the game, but here's where we are. The score is 28 to 13. We're in the third quarter. They got the camera on number 83 and then 29. I love that. 83 and 29, they got the camera on for her. 29 versus 83. So anyway, I don't think I can show that much of the game, so I'm just going to, I'm not going to close the game out, but I'm going to mute it. Let's just start right there. Gematria. We're going to be talking about gematria and how professional sports are scripted by the numbers. You need to know the language of gematria to see it. And when you know this script, oftentimes you can get ahead of what's happening in the game. You can likely predict what the next type of score will be. Will it be a field goal? Will it be a touchdown? Will it be a kick the ball away? Oftentimes you can start to see the script accurately if you recognize how the games are scripted. So 29 and 83 we just saw on the screen. Football, 83-29. At the end of the first half, just before Dallas went to kick the field goal, the 33-yarder, the same distance as the extra point as of the recent rule change, extending the distance of the extra point to make it a 33-yard attempt to add more interest in the play. Now the league's showing they have all these missed extra points. I think this season they set a record with 11, or maybe even more than that, in a single weekend, 11 missed extra points. But anyway, check this out. As I was watching this, I said, wow, this is a tribute to Super Bowl I. This is a tribute to Super Bowl I right here, because the score is going to be 21 to 13, a sum of 34 points. And in gematria, the word 1 equals 34. The number 139 is the 34th prime number. 139 is a very important number to Freemasonry, and when you become aware of this gematria language, you see how relevant this number is in history. Major history, this number highly significant. Could go on for 24 hours about it at least. But anyway, 139 is the 34th prime number. If you've ever heard of the New World Order or the Illuminati or an elite network of people, it really does exist. And it is the Freemasons and high places that control world banking, world media, world government. Look at how few companies, provide so much of the products in this consumer age to the masses. There are companies running this world, more powerful than any government. That's why your government in the U.S. is nothing but essentially a puppet show run by mega corporations. If you guys saw Obama's last speech, he gave us a real laugher. Did you hear what he said? He said, for all you social media people, my advice to you is go pick up a clipboard and get signatures and run for office. Like that's the way it works. Like an ordinary citizen can go get enough signatures to get on the ballot and then compete with candidates backed by the hundreds of millions. These candidates just come up overnight and have all these backers with all this money. Look at what an organic thing looks like. I've been working my ass off putting out knowledge for the world for over 3 years on social media. And, I've tried to raise a campaign for about $30,000 to make something happen. And it raised about $14,000, which I'm grateful for. And we made the thing happen. If we had extra money, we could put it more towards the cause, bigger, stronger, faster. But, you got to appreciate what you earn. And my point is, it took me, 3 years of putting out truth, at a record pace, working my ass off, and just to raise $14,000. And what Barack Obama's telling me is go get enough signatures to get on the ballot, which is a mission in itself. I mean, that's a lot of signatures. I'd have to be living my life going here to there to get signatures everywhere. And then come up with the money to compete. I mean, it's just such a joke for Obama to say that. No, the reason we go on social media is because this is possible to share the knowledge. And that's what this is, sharing knowledge. Like I've said since 2008, way before I knew about gematria, President Obama is a joke. He represents the industrialists who run this nation, the industrialists, the bankers. Look at his voting record. He votes as a warmonger. He votes as someone who wants to spy on you. There's no difference between Barack Obama and George W. Bush in terms of the way they govern, which is what I was explaining in 2008. And there'll be no difference in terms of the way Donald Trump governs with regards to Barack Obama. You guys think this repealing the Obamacare Act is something? This is all part of a show. Watch what they replace it with. It won't be much different. In the end, it's all about how much money it makes for the people who rule over us. So you guys tuned in for the football. Let's get back to the football. Sometimes I just got to set things up. So look at this. 21-13 is what the score became. Scroll down so I can just show you what the score became. After he made the extra point, 21-13. Significant numbers. This game is in Dallas, the team that had the best record in the NFC. Dallas equals 13. 13 points at the half. The number 41. Here's a website I'll show you too. I just showed you the Gematria calculator at writingthebeast.com. Number Empire. Good information for numbers. The number 41. The 13th prime number. 41, 13, very relevant. Think about this nation, the 13 colonies, the 13 stripes, 13 years of public school programming. USA, 41. So anyway, Dallas 13, Rodgers 41, Green Bay 41. All this hype about Aaron Rodgers running the table, a catchphrase you're hearing week after week, day after day if you're an NFL fan. Last week, Rodgers knocked off a different NFC East opponent, the Giants, with Eli Manning in his 13th season. And number 13, Odell Beckham, had a historically bad game, dropping touchdowns and everything else. You know, Giants fans who don't understand the game scripted, they're looking at that game going, what happened? Where was Odell? How come he didn't catch those balls? The game could have been way different. If you guys missed that game, Eli Manning's last touchdown was it was the touchdown to make the game have 13 points. It was a 41-yard pass to King. A 41-yard pass to King, right? 41 gave the Giants 13 points. They didn't score any more. The Packers won with 38 last week in the wild card round. 38-13. Sum of 51 points. Super Bowl 51. Who's hosting that? The Houston Texans? The Houston Texans. So anyway, Gematria, it's real. A lot of people are out here trying to discredit me, making all these videos attacking me, you know. All I've been doing is teaching people real knowledge that anyone can use and prove for themselves. You pay attention with this knowledge, you see how these games are scripted. That's the real reason people are trying to discredit. They don't want the truth out there. You know, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry that people think is legitimate. It's no more real than the WWE. So the score, it became 13-21, a sum of 34 points after the field goal was made. The 33-yard attempt, can you make that out that it was a 33-yarder? Today's date has 33 numerology. Big G on the Packers helmet represents 33. So anyway, 1 in Gematria sums to 34, like the sum of the score. The Packers won Super Bowl I 50 years ago today, January 15th, 1967, over the Kansas City Chiefs, a franchise that was originally the Dallas Texans. The Dallas Texans became the Kansas City Chiefs. This year, the Houston Texans are hosting Super Bowl 51. Do you see the triangulation? Later today, the Chiefs play the Steelers. We'll talk a little bit about that. So anyway, Super Bowl I. The date of Super Bowl I, January 15th, 67, that's a date with 83 numerology. The word football equals 83. The word cowboy, 83, just using the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z is 26th because it's the 26th letter. So football and cowboy. Okay, so 50 years ago today, 50-year anniversary of the Packers winning Super Bowl I. When you write out 50, it sums to 66. When you write out 33, it sums to 66. And there's one more you got to know about. The first Super Bowl was in January of 67 to close out the regular season, the playoffs that concluded at the end of 66. And there's another form of gematria. You need this calculator, gematrix.org. NFL in Jewish gematria sums to 66. And the people who started the NFL, Jewish bankers, industrymen, Freemasons, in Chicago. That's where the NFL was born, Chicago. National Football League equals 85. The Bears haven't won the Super Bowl since the 85 season. The founder of the NFL, his name is Camp. The man who created, not the founder of the NFL, but the man who created American football. Camp, Freemason. Look at the 33 name gematria. Very special number to Freemasonry. Again, when you write out 33, it sums to 66. NFL 66 in Jewish gematria. First Super Bowl season in the 66th season, which was the 47th season of the NFL. The 47th season, the word foundation equals 47, just like the word framework. Special number 47. The Freemasons have something called Euclid's 47th problem. Euclid's 47th problem. It's about how to establish a foundation for a building. And the word foundation is 47. You start to look at all this stuff, you start to think about what Freemasonry is worldwide, crossing all nations, being around for so long. You start to think about how alphabets came to be built. It's not hard to see. Built on ancient knowledge, mathematics. You start looking at what all the tributes are in the language, they're all to the Freemasons. You know, you look at who established this nation, the United States of America, which became a nation around the same time English was first being spoken. At the beginning of the United States, they had to vote on what the national language would be, English or German, multiple languages being spoken in the early days of the United States. English isn't that old. Check out my videos on things such as the 4th of July, Independence Day 74, Holiday 74, Masonic 74. Special number, 7-4, Independence Day, July 4th. But anyway, first Super Bowl season, the 47th season of the NFL. Think about how football's on Sunday. You know, you're supposed to be in church. Christian 47, and not by coincidence. So anyway, 50 years ago, today has 33 date numerology. The big G on the side of the Packers helmet represents 33. Aaron Rodgers just turned 33, December 2nd, 2016. To play the Giants, the Packers got their 33rd all-time win against the Giants as a franchise. So anyway, Chiefs, who play later today, equal 50. So does Pittsburgh. I should have wrote that up here. America equals 50. Today's date, January 15th, 2017, date with 33 numerology. If the Cowboys do win today, they could. The Cowboys would be 5-3 against the Packers all time in the playoffs. Today's date also has 53 numerology, number of men on an NFL roster. If the Packers win, they'll be 4-4 against the Cowboys in the playoffs. Right now, the Cowboys lead 4-3. Dallas Cowboys equals 43. If the Packers win, they'll be 4-4. The game started at 4:40 Eastern time this week. Wisconsin and Georgia, the only two states that summed to 44. If you go back to my work from last season when I was ranking my teams to win the Super Bowl, I had the Giants, the Packers, and the Falcons, the three teams I was looking at in the NFC to represent in the Super Bowl. And the narrative with the Packers and the Falcons, who I was talking about going back to last year, is because Wisconsin and Georgia are the only two states with 44 gematria. Today's game is also 44 days from Rodgers' birthday, December 2nd. It's 44 days later. But they're the only two states to have 44 gematria, and this year, the date of the Super Bowl, February 5th, 2017, 2 plus 5 plus 20 plus 17 equals 44. And notice the way we've been taught to say dates like that, February 5th, 2017. You can also say 2017, but plenty of people will say 2017. That is a way in adding of numerology. You do it just like that. 2 plus 5 plus 20 plus 17, 44. Georgia, Wisconsin. Only 2 states that sum to 44. If there's a tribute to the election, the name Donald equals 50 like America. Remember, it was Wisconsin, the state where it went in the favor of Trump late in the night, that declared Donald Trump the winner of the election. Wisconsin was the deciding state. But anyway, all these connections to understand. Look at this shot from Wikipedia. This is hilarious. Number 31 and number 15. We'll talk about 58 as well. But 15 and 31 for the Packers are hilarious because Houston equals 31 and Texas equals 15, who's hosting the Super Bowl. Wikipedia, I've said this before, if you catch on to what's being clued in when you recognize how these leagues are scripted, and I've shown in the past how you accurately read into the script before the season even starts. Sometimes I'm wrong, but I'm right more often than not. And very often my predictions are beyond just who will win. I say specific things about the game that happen because it's all part of the numerical script that you can read into. Anyway, 15, 31, numbers representing the city hosting the Super Bowl to be. 58, number of Freemasonry. So they put up this stat right here. Can you make this out? The game, as soon as I saw that they were doing the tribute for Super Bowl I, what's hilarious is they ended up going to this quick clip. Look, this is a minute in the game. I just had this thought like, oh, the score is going to be a tribute to Super Bowl I. Then they go to this quick storyline about Super Bowl I and how the Packers defeated the Chiefs 35-10. If you write out the word 13, it sums to 45. We've been talking about the significance of 13. Notice they got number 85 here for the shot in their little story. Just show you this. National Football League. 85. If you've ever seen the movie Jerry Maguire, which came out in 96, it's about a player named Rod Tidwell who wears the number 85. His name's Tidwell. In a lot of the movie, you see his name, Tidwell, and the number 85. Number for National Football League in Gematria. Bears haven't won the championship since 85. He plays for what team in that movie? The Arizona Cardinals that play on the 33rd parallel. How many of you football buffs know where the Cardinals are from? They are one of the 2 first founding teams of the NFL. In where? Chicago. Chicago. Show you something about Chicago and Phoenix too. Chicago. For a second, the Arizona Cardinals were called the Phoenix Cardinals. And playing in Phoenix. Phoenix is on the 33rd parallel. So is Glendale, where they now play. Glendale, 33, just like 33rd parallel. Phoenix and Chicago, though. Chicago, the birthplace of the Cardinals. It's always been a scripted league by the numbers. I want to know who hosted the first Super Bowl. Or what TV station. I wonder if it was on CBS, the station with the all-seeing eye. The word I equals 35. So does the name Tom Brady. Everything about Tom Brady's career is 35. Talk more about Tom Brady in a second. But look at this. They put up these stats for the first Super Bowl. It wasn't called the Super Bowl then. The first 4 were not called the Super Bowl. That's why this is the 47th Super Bowl of the modern era, but they call it Super Bowl 51. At the time of it, it was just called the First World Championship Game, AFL versus NFL. But look, the length of the game was 2 hours and 37 minutes. That's 157 minutes. 60 minutes in an hour, 60 plus 60 is 120 for 2 hours, and then 37 more minutes. 157, United States equals 157. 2 times 3 times 7, the numbers put there, 42, number of the Freemasons. And notice down here, they say the 30-second commercial cost then was $42,000. Look at this. Freemason equals 42. So does the word touchdown. So does the word Hail Mary. And I've been explaining for years how many Hail Marys are connected to the number 42. Last week, to close out the first half, Rodgers had a 42-yard Hail Mary on the down 4th and 2 to to the player Cobb, who wore the number 18, who finished the day with 3 touchdowns. Each touchdown is 6 points, 6, 6, 6. 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18, like his number. The game was on January 8th. 1-8-18. Scripted sports by the numbers. But anyway, 42, relevant number to football. Freemasonry created American football as we know it. Notice American football is 11 on 11. So is soccer, what they call football in the rest of the world. 11, the master number in numerology. So here's the halftime, 21-13. A difference of 8 points in Dallas. 8 in Gematria sums to 49, just like Dallas, who's hosting the game. Also, 8 has Gematria of 31, like Houston, where the Super Bowl will be, not far from Dallas. And again, today's game, 44 days from Rodgers' birthday. Wisconsin and Georgia, the only 2 states that sum to 44. Brett Favre was the 33rd overall pick of the Falcons in Atlanta on the 33rd parallel before he was traded to the Packers, the team with the G that represents 33. And as we know, Brett Favre won Super Bowls when the Falcons didn't. It's all part of the script, all part of, mocking the fans. 33 is often a number of sacrifice. You could say the Falcons sacrificed, for the Packers' success in the script. So we're talking about 31 in Houston. Houston, 8, both connections to 31. 31 is the 11th prime number, football 11 on 11. Super Bowl 31 was the Packers over the Patriots in the 97 season, 1997. This year is the 97th season of the NFL, 97. Bill Belichick equals 97. 97 is the 25th prime number. The final game of the 97th season is the Super Bowl on 2/5, as we write it in the U.S., February 5th. You could also look at that date as 5/2. If Brady and Belichick make it to the Super Bowl, they have a chance to become 5-2 in Super Bowls. It could possibly be over the Packers. Super Bowl 31 right here, won by the Packers 35-21. Difference of 14 points. When you write out 14, I'll just show this to you real quick. 14 equals 41, just like Super Bowl. We talked about 41 in the beginning, the 13th prime number, important number to this nation. And there's something called the S exception. For every S in the English reduction method on this calculator, it can be +9 more for each S. Super Bowl would then be 50, like America. Is there going to be a tribute to Donald Trump? Donald 50. So this is why I said last weekend, after watching the Giants get eliminated, I said, I haven't done enough homework, but I won't be surprised if the Super Bowl ends up being Packers and Patriots again with this whole run the table thing. And with regards to January 26th, 126, I've been explaining, is a number that has to do with championships. Run the table sums to 126, kind of like January 26th, the date of that game. This is the phrase Aaron Rodgers has been using and the NFL's emphasizing in the campaign. And if you watched I have hardly had the TV on, but I turned on the game a little bit before, and everything I noticed as I was flipping back and forth between ESPN and, Fox that was hosting the game, they were just talking on both channels highly of Rodgers. There's all this hype for Rodgers right now. I don't even know what's going on in the game, but we'll see what happens. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if it's Packers and Patriots. If it is, this will be why. This is how the script was written this season. This is why my pick wasn't right. If this ends up being what it is, this seems like a pretty solid script. This is what I missed when I went with Giants and Colts instead. But remember, last year I said early, the first clue of a Super Bowl I have is Packers and Colts. And we know how the Colts, Patriots, Steelers, teams that routinely show up in the Super Bowl in the last decade. Throw in the Ravens, the old home of the Colts, Baltimore Colts. But anyway, going back to last year, I've been saying watch the Packers. And I'm kicking myself at the beginning of the season for putting all my eggs in one basket when I knew that there was a narrative, at least a little bit, for the Packers. You know, foolish. Live and learn. So anyway, these are the halftime stats. What stood out is Rodgers has 191 passing yards, 191 yards receiving. Notice Geronimo Allison leads with 46. Remember, Packers has Gematria 46. So does Patriots. Houston, Texas equals 46. 191 total yards is interesting because that's the 43rd prime number. Dallas Cowboys 43, champion 43. 50 years ago today, the AFL NFL championship. Packers over the Kansas City Chiefs that were originally the Dallas Texans. You know? 50 years later, Packers, Dallas. So also, the Chiefs, they play later against the Steelers. The Steelers are in their 84th season. United States of America 84, Jesuit 84. The Steelers are owned by Jesuits. Earlier this year, I had that prediction with Antonio Brown against the Chiefs. It was 84 days after his birthday. I said why he would have a big game. I said look for 2 touchdowns. He got them both in the first half. 2 touchdowns on 2 receptions for 42 yards, giving him 42 career touchdowns. There's so many things, you guys, that I predicted right this NFL season that weren't the Super Bowl. You know, if you looked at all the things that I just talked about before they happened, again, the Gematria is the knowledge to have. It lets you see the script. These games are scripted. It's undeniable. The Chiefs are in their 57th season. When you write out 57, it has the same Gematria as championship and Super Bowl. The Steelers, meanwhile, again in their 84th season, very special number. The book 1984, written after World War II, about a futuristic nation where people are ruled over by lies and fear and talking screens like the television. In that book, there's the quote about how all it took to rule over the people of this nation that were ruled over by the fear-mongering screens, all it took was football, beer, and gambling. Those things filled up the horizons of their minds. Read that book, 1984, United States of America 84. You know, the book's about a nation just like ours, quotes like that. Hello. Funny how the Pittsburgh Steelers, all-time against the Chiefs coming into this game, have played 31 times. Steelers equals 31. And again, so does Houston, who's hosting. So this is what I mean. I still haven't done enough homework, you know. Honestly, think about, you know, what is my motivation? What more can I prove, you know, with this Gematria study? I still work at it, but my motivation to prove any more than I've already proven, it's diminishing because all last year I pretty much called everything right. I taught everybody this skill and it hasn't caught any fire. You know, it's like, I don't know if I can outdo what I did last year. And at this day and age where things should be, when they should be going viral based on what we're told, I mean, what more can I do? It just seems that this information is going to get squashed and people ain't taking the time to listen to it. But you pay attention, you see how this is all set up. This is all part of a planned narrative over time. Well thought out. And just think about it. There's people that are writing ongoing story novels, movie series, and what is it? It's just a continuous story narrative planned out based on what came before. When you understand this system and you realize people have been using these types of systems for a very long time, it's not hard to see how this can all be done. You know, it's mind-blowing when you don't know about it and it's new information, but when you recognize it's ancient knowledge, and all of us have been able to pretty much do this since the time we were in 2nd or 3rd grade, really, if somebody taught us, you know, we knew the alphabet, we knew how to add. It's not that much more difficult. You know, understanding prime numbers, that might be a little leap of the mind when you're younger, but maybe not, you know. You teach somebody something within a context, a reason for understanding it, you know, you have the motivation to learn. And then when you can learn how to apply it to the real world, imagine showing a child that professional sports are scripted and showing them how. And then having like the kids go and decode the games each night and bring it in and turn it into their teacher. How cool would that be? And it should be that way. You know, I bet you kids would be way more into their homework if they knew that they could decode the basketball game. You got like third grade gambling champions. Parents are making millions. No, you guys, I've always shown that my motivation isn't money. That's why, trying to show you guys. This is about putting out the knowledge, the information, waking up so we can do something about our situation. Don't rig sports piss you off if you're emotionally invested in this. It should that somebody's been messing with you. So anyway, I think I already covered this in an earlier post. I don't want to get back into this preview. It was the last football video I put out. But yeah, your sports are scripted. There's tributes in the game. If you know the numbers, you can get ahead of the script. Here we are, fourth quarter. We'll see what happens. Until next time, Truth Seeker.